It is time to go racing at Spa-Francorchamps for race 2 of the weekend, race 4 of the year in the GT2 European Series, powered by Pirelli. Glorious weather. We're just getting to 9:20 local time, and it is already very, very hot indeed. Yesterday, the temperatures were just a tad below 30. It's 20 degrees already and barely a cloud in the sky. A lot of overnight rain, really heavy rain as well, so the track damp in places, but it's not enough, we understand from race control, to change the start procedure. Bryn Lucas is down on the grid. David Anderson and Joe Osborne are trackside. Looking forward, Joe, to a race, if it's anything like yesterday, that should be really busy.
Yeah, we had lots of action, didn't we, from turn 1 all the way to the end. Ginetta really dominating race 1, and they dominated the qualifying that has set the grid for this race we're going to watch this morning as well. So be interesting to see how that Ginetta GT2 gets on.
Now let's get to the grid, because the Iron Dames switch cars to Maserati for this weekend. Laura van den Hengel is one of the two drivers of the car. She's in conversation with Bryn Lucas.
Well, yesterday wasn't the day you wanted. It was actually your best result of the season, but I know that's not enough for you.
No, for us it wasn't a good result. I think not with the issue in the pit lane, we could go for the podium this time, and yeah, that didn't happen. So for us it wasn't really a good result.
Tell us a bit about the political decision as well to move away from the Porsche last time out to the Maserati this time.
So it was not really political. We continue with Porsche after Spa, but there was like also a GT, Italian GT, and the Porsche was needed over there. So someone from the team of Dynamic loaned us the Maserati because it's a GT2 car. So yeah, we said, yeah, do it.
Very different to drive though.
Yeah, and for me, I only had 5 laps in, so it was quite difficult to manage in the race and qualify. Yeah, Sarah is quick in everything, so yeah.
Well, P6 onwards and upwards. Good luck.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm excited for it.
Better just wrap up the point that Laura van den Hengel made there about the issue in the pits. It wasn't an issue with their car, but Stefan Rossina's Audi broke a drive shaft hitting the curb at the chicane. He got to the pit lane, but then didn't have the momentum to trickle through the pit lane. If you remember what happened to Alessandro Pierguidi in the 24 hours a few years ago, well, it happened to 3 or 4 cars yesterday, because again, a car expired at pit in that no man's land between Marshall's posts, and we lost about a minute or so before anybody could get to the car and tow it out of the way. Then another one stalled in the queue, and Laura van den Hengel, Sarah Bove's Maserati, was one of the cars stuck in that traffic jam, but there was absolutely nothing that could be done. Race control got to it as quickly as they put the pit entry blocked message up on the timing screens. The race yesterday won by Ethan Gialdini and Michael Muir, the first victory for the Ginetta G56 GT2, a Masters win yesterday for Shotar Abgazova, the Georgian driver, and a Pro-Am win for Mike Simpson and Lawrence Tomlinson. And it's Mike Simpson who is going to start on pole position today. This grid based on a stand-alone qualifying session. This car yesterday ended up and down the order, really. Thomas Anderson and Simon Birch, they got caught up in a first corner melee. They then had damage to the bodywork. They then had a puncture, and then they got other dramas late race. So the car had pace, but it was never really reflected. But yesterday, Joe, really good for Ginetta.
Yeah, it really was. Best performance we've seen from them so far in GT2. Of course, balanced performance, always adjusting these cars, so it might not be the same story today. We heard the drivers of this number 3 car saying they weren't particularly quick in a straight line. I'm sure that was their small violin out for the BOP committee to listen to, but let's keep an eye on that, because we saw the Maserati especially quick at the end of the Camel Straight, and the Mercedes historically very quick as well.
Yeah, there was a BOP adjustment before yesterday's race, but even if it did affect the Ginettas, it didn't do enough to prevent 2 class wins, silver and an outright win for Ethan Gialdini and Michael Muir, and that Pro-Am win for Mike Simpson and Lawrence Tomlinson. Just looking down onto the grid, that is an amended grid by the look of it, because the cars have shuffled in order. There's also a gap, and people have got a bit jumbled at the back. Patrick Michelier out of sequence. Anyway, we'll have a look at who's missing. It might be the Stefan Rossina Audi that had the drive shaft problem yesterday. There's another car slow off the grid. So the field released onto the formation lap. And there you can see the pole car of Mike Simpson with Michael Muir's Ginetta due to slot in alongside on the front row. Simon Birch will go from 3rd on the grid, and then Jamie Hartling is going to start fourth, having had now 2 class wins in Pro-Am. And there at the end of the pit lane, by the look of it, is the aforementioned Audi. So that car, which is Stefan Rossina and Louis Pret, is going to have Louis Pret at the wheel. And as I say, starting, it seems, from the pit lane. That's the car that broke the drive shaft yesterday. So it's a slightly untidy formation lap. The car of Mikel Nior seemed to have dropped back a long way. If you're in the top 3 in your class, you then carry compensation time on the mandatory pit stop. So there are a lot of cars here that have been making longer pit stops, and we'll come to that in a moment or two. But pole position to Mike Simpson, with Mikel Nior lining up alongside. Third on the grid is Simon Birch, and J-Mo Hartling is going to be alongside. Starting 5th is Antoine Potty, and going from 6th is Sarah Bovey. Reinhard Koffler, one to watch, 7th on the grid, ahead of the rapid Moritz Viskirchen. Then it will be Brandon Oxley from 9th. He had a spin in the race yesterday. Behind him is going to be Lennart Marianec, and then it is the Mercedes of Neil Montserrat. Shotarab Kazava will be next, ahead of Philippe Pret. Then you've got Nicola Piri and Petra Lisha with the KTM of Jack Russell, Rodrigue Gillions Lamborghini ahead of Oliver Freimuth and Patrick Mechelier at the rear. And from that, it looks as though the Louis Pret car has been taken out of the grid, and he's going to do the pit lane start in isolation. This is the run down towards Pont, 7 kilometres long, and Joe, it really is a fabulous circuit.
Yeah, split over the 3 sectors. Sector 1 has La Source into the very fast Eau Rouge, then the long Kemmel Straight. Sector 2 really more about the handling of the car and downforce performance. Then Sector 3 speeds up once more. We saw lots of overtaking into turn number 5, Lacombe, and also turn 18 at the bus stop yesterday. But the track map never shows the gradient here at Spa, and that's what the drivers love, and that's why many of them will claim this is the best racing track in the world.
Yeah, Running Club tonight will show you the gradient. You're going to tell me you've got a flight to catch, aren't you?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Oh,
enjoy it. Enjoy it.
Okay, fair enough. So the field turning its way out of the pith path, that right-left sequence. Even though it's only, in quotes, 20 degrees, it's still a very hot morning. And Shotarab Kazava, one of a number of drivers who is going solo, yesterday during the pit stop, got out of the car and was just pouring water through his crash helmet. There he is, trying to keep his body as cool as possible. And again, yes, this year there are some young guns, but it's always been aimed at looking after the AMs, giving them good cars to drive. The AMs, partly by definition, are older gentlemen. Fitness not top of their list of priorities. It's running a business, isn't it? And so, you know, it's pretty grueling, this.
Yeah, I think he likened it to driving a sauna, right?
That's right.
Yeah, that's while you're wearing a crash helmet, a race suit, all the fireproofs underneath as well. So it would have easily been 50 degrees centigrade in there. And you imagine sitting in there exercising for an hour, and then you add the stress of racing side by side, doing 175 miles an hour in these GT2 cars. You can understand why sometimes they get a bit hot and bothered.
So it's going to be a Ginetta race to the first corner. 62 is Mike Simpson, 3 Mikel Nior, the outright winner yesterday. They each have to serve 10 extra seconds in the pit lane because of their successes yesterday. But Simon Birch in that red and white KTM that starts third on the grid, he has no compensation time. There are fewer KTMs these days than we used to have, but they are still pocket rockets, aren't they? They're light, they're quick. The cars prodigiously successful in the history of GT2, and Simon Birch, who we do now get to see in GT3 cars, always very rapid. We've not had a lot of him in GT2 this year. He missed the Monza races, but I think he's going to be one to watch, as also is J-Mo Hartling in that Mercedes, the first of the 2 sort of lime green and black cars that's on the outside of the second row of the grid. So there's a lot to look forward to in this as they now trickle their way down to the chicane. And starting from the pit lane, Louis Pret, here to gain mileage for next week, son of Philippe, who is the driver of the red Maserati that you will see coming into the chicane. Now, here we go. The green lights are ready, and Noé Santamaria, the race director, will give the instruction as a very untidy start from J-Mo Hartling to pull out of the draft. Mikel Nior covers him off, really, there. That makes it look better than it should be for Hartling. But now we go green. We go racing at Spa. 50 minutes on the clock down towards turn 1. Good getaway by Simpson, but look at the rather impudent KTM of Simon Birch. He tried to get at the inside, and there was no way through. He's trying to get through the middle, and there's no way through as Mikel Nior closes the door on him and then gets crowded out wide. It's going to be Mike Simpson's Ginetta in the lead. Nior is second. Simon Birch again tries to make the move. He's up the inside. J-Mo Hurtling is there in fourth in the Mercedes, and having a go at him, look, is Brandon Oxley, and Oxley in the silver Mercedes gets ahead, and a big slide from Muir. He's off the road, way out wide all over the runoff. He's back on the track as Mike Simpson leads Simon Birch, and then Brandon Oxley up into third place.
Yes, great start from Oxley. I think there was contact between him and Potty in the fluoro yellow and grey Maserati as they came out of turn one. That's where we saw a Mercedes of Rocos get turned into the wall. Now he's trying to go round the outside of the KTM. I think he's going to have to give that position back. He was not alongside enough as he took to the escape road. So far, it looks clean between everyone, but really Oxley is the man on the move, but I think he's got to give the place back to the KTM behind.
The car from the pit lane is Nicola Piri's Maserati, so not the Rossina Pret car, apologies, same livery, same shape in a sense, but anyway, it is Nicola Piri who's joined in from the pit lane and will be one to watch, and Mike Simpson, he's trying to build that lead here with Brandon Oxley having had a good first lap up into second place. Simon Birch runs third as they come down the hill, and then in fourth place J-Mo Hurtling. Antoine Potty is fifth, and Neil Montserrat is in sixth spot now as they turn through Pont, plunging down the hill, heading towards Pithpath. But Mike Simpson doing what he needs to do, try and get away from the class opposition by the tune of 10 seconds.
I don't know if this Ginetta of Mick O'Neill's got a problem. It's just lost so many places. Had the big snap of oversteer at Eau Rouge on the opening lap. It's hard to see if there's contacts from the Mercedes of Oxley through Eau Rouge, but it just seems to have zero pace right now. And considering that started on the front row, I think he realised last minute he's running wide, and that's going to look at the sparks. That could be damaged. We've seen cars run wide out there, and previously that has then damaged the car. The flooring, everything is a big jump.
Brandon Oxley being told he's got to give back one position, so he's running second on the racetrack. Brandon Oxley, there he is, and round the outside comes the KTM. He's trying to give that place back but not allow Hartling through. Job done. Simpson? And now Mike Simpson's in strife and heading for the pit lane, so the race leader is into the pits at the end of lap one. Not a good lap for Ginetta, is it? So now Simon Birch leads the way. Second is the Mercedes of Brandon Oxley, having given back a place. He's back up to second with the demise of the Ginetta. J-Mo Hartling is third and tries to go round the outside coming out of La Source, but he can't do it. In fourth place is Antoine Potty. Neil Montserrat is fifth. Moritz Viskirchen is sixth. And it looks as though it might be a tyre-related drama for Mike Simpson. The CMR squad in the endurance pits, the pit lane on this part of the racetrack here, they've got a tyre ready, we understand. So Mike Simpson looks as though he may have picked up a puncture on the opening lap of the race.
He did well to read it then to dive to pit lane, otherwise that would have been 7 kilometres of pain. What tyre is that? It looks slightly narrower, so maybe a front tyre. The other Ginetta's still struggling. I hope they're getting their tyre pressures okay, because at the moment the Ginetta unable to keep the pace up, and they would get a lunge down the inside. It's so hard to do clean.
And it wasn't, and Oxley goes off the road through the gravel, big slide, clatters back onto the road, brings the gravel with him. So Hartling is up into second, Potty is third, fourth there is Neil Montserrat. In fifth place is Moritz Viskirchen, and Brandon Oxley, after that bit of hit and shoulder, is down to sixth place. Mikel Nuur's Ginetta was, I think, a little bit slow away on the green flag lap as well, so maybe there is an issue with that car and he's trying to get it sorted, trying to drive around the problem. We've got a yellow flag out in sector one as the cars go down through Pont once more, but Simon Birch in the KTM, we said he was going to be worth watching, and he is indeed building the lead.
Yeah, he had a phenomenal last corner, didn't he, because he got the place back as we go to safety cars, so cars will see the yellow flags and the SC boards displayed shortly. But yeah, Simon Birch got the lead, didn't he, for Mike Simpson boxing, and Oxley having to give the place back. Oxley getting roughed up on the exit of Lacombe at turn 7. Be interesting to see if there was any contact between him and the 111 car as Simpson stays on the lead lap, and now the safety car will get everyone bunched up and they'll have a chance to fight back, potentially into the top 10 by the time Mike will need to box to hand over to his teammate Lawrence Tomlinson.
And there you've got the car of Jack Russell, the grey KTM, still racing until it gets to a safety car board. The lights and flags are being displayed, so safety car conditions. And the field now then turns out of the chicane over the line, and the race leading car is Simon Birch. J-Mo Hartling in second place, Antoine Potty third, Neil Montserrat fourth, Moritz Viskirchen is fifth, and in sixth place Brandon Oxley.
Yeah, I'm not sure the reason for the safety car yet. We've not seen or heard, but the drivers all slowing down rather well. The yellow flag was at turn 4, so at the top of Eau Rouge. So the drivers will be instructed what they need to do. And yeah, it's been a quick start to the race. Cleaner than yesterday, though. I don't see any cars with any damage yet. Now Mike Simpson's got a new tyre on. Hopefully that was the problem. They can now just crack on for the remaining part of this race.
There's Patrick Michelier in the Ferrari. This was Jack Russell trying to get himself up past the KTM there of Lennart Marianec, and then I think he got the message that the safety car was out, so he backs out of it, slows right down. So Nicola Piri is the one who's gone missing, and he's okay. He's out of the car, so there's confirmation. Driver is okay, but the car rather less so. As you can see, that has been a massive hit at the top of Eau Rouge, and it's going to be a while, not just to move that, but treat the liquid and sort out all the debris. That has gone off big time.
Was that his first time through Eau Rouge after a pit lane start, cold tyres? I'm just thinking,
yeah,
either first or second time by. I wonder if that was a factor. Obviously starting from pit lane, didn't get the green flag lap, didn't get the lap to the grid either, so tyre temperatures would have been very low, and a very fast corner, and obviously great to see Piri walking away from that one.
Right, let's try and piece it all together. So this is on his own, Nicola Piri, pit lane start, rides the curve through the second bit, the car snaps away, and that's a big hit.
Wow. Yeah, we see cars use the apex curb on the right, so all okay. It's the curb use now that snaps the car. You also see the car bottom out, don't you? The puff of smoke from the rear left. That's relatively normal as well, but I just think the tyre pressures are low. There's more compression in the tyre. Maybe the car's bottomed out, and I think that's what we've seen, is that huge snap. It's probably the car is sat on its belly and it's lost the weight over the axles and effectively bottomed out and sent him hard left. But wow, the damage on that is huge as we look at Mike Simpson catching up the safety car train.
Yeah, that safety car has done him a favour, hasn't it? Because it allows him to close, admittedly to the back, but he will join the queue. The downside is that he still will have to make the regulation pit stop with the extra 10 seconds for winning the class yesterday. But Mike Simpson then is at least going to catch Patrick Michelier's Ferrari there. So let's have another look at the start. So what happened to Mikel Nior? Well, he didn't exactly rocket away, did he? Up towards La Source, they come. Birch tries to get to the inside of Mike Simpson. There's no way through there. Nior sort of picked up a little bit of pace at this juncture, but then he gets run out wide.
Yeah, maybe just got roughed up by the KTM. It didn't feel like the Ginettas had a plan, considering they run out the same team. They didn't look like they were working well. Is there contact here? There isn't, I don't think. I think he just has that moment by himself. And that's almost the same moment we've seen Piri just send him in the wall. And I think it is just the lower tyre pressures. This is him dropping on the exit Stavolo 2, the gravel going through the radiator and then out of the bonnet over its own windscreen. They build him strong up in Yorkshire, and he's lucky to get away with that one, in my opinion.
We were saying, is there a problem? Well, that run through the gravel, if there is, will only have added to it. So, and if there wasn't before, that is the problem, kind of, any floor damage that the car has picked up. But Mikel Nior, at least, is still going. But it's looking good, this, for J-Mo Hartling, in as much as he's got 7 seconds only to serve in the pits relative to the 10 of others. But Simon Birch, the leader, with very little at all. Now, the other aspect to all of this is that we are 11 minutes away from the pit window opening. There is the car, or sorry, there are bits of the car being removed, what's left of the car of Nicola Piri. But we are running out of laps for the higher graded drivers to have an input. Now, okay, they may well stay out during the window for as long as possible, but it doesn't really matter. You are still behind the safety car, losing competitive laps, and therefore what you can do to help your AM driver in a Pro-Am car, for example. So the slower drivers are going to have to do the work without much help from their quick co-drivers who have spent a number of laps running under controlled conditions.
Yeah, so it almost shifts its focus to the qualifying from race 1, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Who are the drivers getting in the second stint. And that was Girardini in the sister car to where we're looking Mike Simpson in the 3 Ginetta. Potti, the solo driver, in the number 6 car as well. Could be strong third at the moment for that Maserati, third or fourth in the queue behind the safety car as the first one. And it then really comes down to the shiniest AMs, really, doesn't it? And Philip Pret is always in the mix in that one as well. So, yeah, this is really going to hurt the fast pros who have been unable to make a difference in this race.
Very true. There is the red Mercedes of Petrolicia, who didn't get into the car yesterday because Andre Rocoche had a number of incidents, and a sizable one took the car out of the race. That's Simon Birch, the Pro-Am leader. and looking as though a race win outright may be possible here. The best of the silvers is there, the fluoro yellow Maserati of Antoine Potti, from GT4 to GT3 to GT2, and a winner at Monza, and a solo driver as well. So his compensation is always longer because there's extra time bolted on for being a soloist. So notionally he's got 7 seconds, but an extra 3 for being a solo driver. So he's got to serve 10 in the pits. And then in Masters, again, Maserati, there it is, Philippe Pret. He will serve 10 in the pits, and behind him is Shotram Kazama, yesterday's winner, another solo driver. He's got 14. At least that means he can pour yet more water on himself.
Yeah, we saw how hot he was yesterday. The other interesting one is going to be our lead car, the 1110 KTM, Simon Birch, doing a 2:19 in qualifying. His teammate, Wilhelm Kuhner, doing a 2:32, so 13 seconds difference. And like you've said already, David, no pit stop penalty for that car, so that could be a hard stint for the teammate in the 1110 in terms of pace trying to defend. Look at the water that's been displaced out the tyre wall there, and looks like the recovery track's going to reverse into that gap. I wonder if we could quickly get the safety car in this lap. We are getting safety car in. Great work from race control. Safety car lights out just at the right time, and that is a lot of expensive body parts that won't be able to be stuck back on to that car that's on the flat bed.
But I think the feeling is that no one's going to run over those. If anyone gets to them, they're having an accident anyway, so it's not actually going to affect a car, and so that'll be swept away at the end of this race, and we can go racing this time around. So there you've got Simon Birch ahead of J-Mo Hertling, Pro-Am 1-2, overall 1-2, Antoine Potti third, the leading silver. Second silver is Brandon Oxley in the Mercedes, third silver is Michael Nuhr in that slightly troubled Ginetta, but it's going to be effectively now a 7-minute dash to the window opening, but all of these quick pros are going to stay out for as long as they can. Yesterday we had a couple of cars getting penalties for stopping too late. The window had already closed. Michael Nuhr looks like he's on his toes this time, does he not, to have a go at Brandon Oxley, but now Simon Birch accelerates away. You can't overtake until you get to the timing line, but that's just coming out of the chicane, up to which they now come. So Simon Birch it is, who sprints clear. He leads as they come past the pits, and that now puts 4 laps in the book here at Spa-Francorchamps, race 4 of the year in GT2 European Series, powered by Pirelli. Birch leads Hertling, Potti leads Neil Montserrat, and then it's Wiskirchen ahead of Oxley.
Yeah, I'm convinced that Ginetta of Nuhr's got an issue. Looked like he got a good restart, but then look at the gap already to Oxley in front. That car doesn't seem to have the power delivery it had yesterday, and it's the Mercedes looking strong, isn't it, down the field in terms of getting a run.
It's almost like it's slow in a low gear to get going, because the formation lap, the original start, the safety car restart, when it's sort of in a rhythm, it seems okay, but it's getting away. Maybe coming out of the chicane in race trim will be different also, we'll see, but it's like it can't get going out of a low gear. So the race leader is Simon Birch, J-Mo Hertling in second place, and this is the battle going on between Sarah Bovy now and Reinhard Koffler. They had a place change there, and the leader gets way wide coming out of Lecombe. Birch up the curb, he's just able to dive across and defend from Hertling, who did the absolute best sector 1, but that Mercedes that won at Monza in the second race is looking very, very terry right now, isn't it? J-Mo Hertling right on the back of Simon Birch as they drop down the hill. There's not much Antoine Potti in that Maserati can do to go with them. It's the 2 Pro-Am cars then fighting for the outright lead.
Yeah, Simon Birch there just shut the door fairly, in my opinion. The end of his fingertip probably just got caught in the door frame. But if I was J-Mo Hertling, that was his one chance. If he squeezes me again, I'm going to leave my car there. And we saw that yesterday, didn't we, with Rokosh and Pret. Rokosh actually turned himself around into the pit wall against the front of Philip Pret's Maserati.
That's Michael Nuhr, who's dropped back now behind Sarah Bovy. So Sarah has jumped Reinhard Koffler and Michael Nuhr on this lap. And there's just nothing that Ginetta could do. It closes up a little bit coming into the pith path, but it's just not a quick enough car. And Mike Simpson now trying to work his way through traffic. He'd caught the queue after his pit stop for a new tyre, but he's got a lot of work to do, and sadly after pole position it looks as though a win today is going to be very, very unlikely indeed. There is the car of Sarah Bovy going through, the Grand Marshal at Le Mans last week. Next KTM through that was the car of Jack Russell. There is Rodrigue Gillion's Lamborghini, and here Oliver Freimut is certainly under attack from Mike Simpson, who's on the light saying, I'm really cross, I was the leader and I want to get past.
Yeah, he'll be feeling deflated, won't he, after that puncture, and now he's got to try and get whatever time back possible to make Lauren Tomlinson's job even easier as he sweeps round the outside of Freimut, timed that perfectly, got the car stopped, position has now been switched.
Deflated Mike Simpson maybe after the puncture. Tired, he is not, and he attacks up towards the line. The next target is going to be Roderick Gillion's Lamborghini. Meanwhile, Simon Birch leading by only 0.4 of a second from J-Mo Hurtling. Then it's Potty ahead of Montserrat, and this is the fight for fifth now. Moritz Viskirchen versus Brandon Oxley for the race lead. They're side by side. Hurtling gets a toe coming up the hill, and all of that grunt of the Mercedes carries him on by. This car started fourth, and it takes over the race lead. So now you have to factor in two things: the relative pace of the co-drivers, plus that Mercedes has 7 seconds extra to serve in the pits. The KTM has no extra time. So what gap can Hurtling now pull out before he has to make the pit stop?
Yeah, it's Mercedes power over 700 horsepower, 3 more cylinders in the Merc as well.
Change of place here. Brandon Oxley's cleared Moritz Viskirchen at Lecombe, so we've had that, and Montserrat is the next target for Brandon Oxley in the other NM Racing Team car. So new order is Hurtling the leader, Birch second, Potty third, fourth is Montserrat, fifth is Oxley, and sixth is Viskirchen, with seventh there Sarah Bovy, eighth now is Michael Muir, ninth is Reinhard Koffler, 10th is Shotrab Kazava. So what's happened to Philippe Pret? There he is, but Pret has fallen back behind Kazava, and by some margin. Yeah,
last time by 2.5 seconds slower, so the Lamborghini's got great pace and has gapped him all the way from this small straight in between Pouhon into Piff Paff, and car looks okay for Philippe Pret, but he's really not got any pace, has he? Look at the conga line of cars queuing up behind him.
Yeah, Lennart Marionech in the first of the KTMs, then Jack Russell, terrier-like, on the back of the queue, trying to attack as well. As very wide again goes Michael Muir. For the second time he runs wide, coming out of the right-hander of the Cours Paul Frere. So Michael Muir having a very torrid time indeed, as that is Shotrab Kazava, who is now into the lead of the Masters class that he won yesterday.
Yeah, that Ginetta looks hard work, doesn't it? It'd be good to hear from the drivers when they get out. Is it an issue? Is it where the car's gone in terms of balance of performance? Because it is a night and day different car visually than yesterday that seemed to dominate, and qualifying as well. That car starting on the front row, remember.
We've not been told of a BOP change overnight. We were before yesterday's race, but it's all rather mysterious. Mike Simpson, in the meantime, is doing absolute best sectors. Reinhard Koffler just tags Michael Muir's Ginetta at La Source, and again, Muir has to try to keep the car under control. Shotrab Kazava doing great things in the Lamborghini. The fastest lap of the race, by the way. Now, Mike Simpson, he is well fired up.
Yeah, so it's not an issue with the Ginetta, it's an issue with the 3 cars.
Absolutely, yeah, it's an isolated one.
When I'm watching it, if I had to guess what was wrong, it looks like the rear anti-roll bar is disconnected or broken, because it's just got no confidence on that rear axle, like it's slopping around. And yeah, just as soon as it gets on the throttle, the car looks nervous, as we see this battle rage on now with the flying lead Masters car in that blue Lamborghini.
Shotrab Kazava going solo, and ahead of him is Reinhard Koffler. Now, bearing in mind that Reinhard was the champion 2 years back, so it is slightly odd to see him struggling here on pure pace. There's Lenny Marionech, behind him is Pret, so it's another place lost. We've now got a lot of people being warned about track limits as Mike Simpson dives up the inside of Petrolicia to go past the Mercedes AMG. That puts Simpson now up into 14th place overall. Remember, he's done the fastest lap of the race, and there's more progress to be made. Indeed, progress has to be made. He's quicker than Lawrence Tomlinson, so Mike's doing the hard yards here.
Yeah, and he's got another 11 minutes and 12 seconds of his stint possible. Obviously, you have to be in the pit lane by the time the window closes with 20 minutes to go, so it sometimes doesn't get the full allocation. With it being 2.5 minutes round here, you have to be very sure that you're not going to go too far into the window.
And already Simpson has caught up to Jack Russell, the pseudonymed Austrian driver, and up the inside dives the Ginetta, easily done. Room was afforded to him, but Simpson, remember, was the quickest man in the qualifying session for this race, so it's no real surprise that he's quick and he's getting through the traffic. Yeah, and
yeah, considering the fastest lap of the race has been done overtaking traffic, I wonder what Mike Simpson could do. 2:20.4. We would assume he can get into the 19s. Of course, getting a bit of a slipstream, but he will be getting the negatives of the dirty air. Philippe Pret, the next car in front, and he'll want to try and get him straight away on the brakes, and it looks like Philippe Pret has given him plenty of space.
If the teams are savvy, they'll be saying to their drivers, this is not your battle. It might be for overall position, but that's a Pro-Am car, going a little bit wide maybe for track limits, but it's a Pro-Am car ahead of a Masters class car. Meanwhile, J-Mo Hurtling is getting away, isn't he, from Simon Birch. That gap's already up to 1.7 seconds. The pit window should now be open. It is, as the Mercedes pounds up the hill. Brandon Oxley currently in 5th, also doing good sector times, and Antoine Potty coming back at Simon Birch in that KTM.
Yeah, Potty looks like he's got the speed, but I was surprised to see Birch in the KTM there, weaving left to right. It wasn't really a defence, it was more like tyre temperature, which surprised me, considering we've had 5 laps of green flag running since the safety car. Tyre pressures should have plateaued now, and Potty using all of the track and slightly more coming out of turn 7 now down into Brussels. This is a sort of corner that would favour the KTM, so it's got to try and make his escape before they get onto the high speed parts of Spa, which then seems to favour the Maserati more.
So there you've got this battle going on for second place. Antoine Potty, by dint of being where he is in the classification anyway, leads silver, but Potty wants to flush out Simon Birch from second place, doesn't he, as they go through Podium this time. So the gap between those two at the start of the lap was about 7/10 of a second. But Birch, remember, is pretty much one of the very few in that leading gaggle who does not have a longer pit stop to serve.
No, so I think they will come out in the lead, obviously, but it's then what the teammate Wilhelm Kühne can do. Of course, all of these amateur drivers finding time over the weekend as it goes on. They look at the data and the video with their teammates to understand braking points, where they should be on track position-wise, even gears that the car wants to be in. So every session is always an evolution of performance, and it's really down to the pro and the am in those elements to work together to make the car as fast as possible.
So the race leaders then currently working their way out of Blanchimont down towards the chicane. There's the KTM that Thomas Anderson will take over. You can see the NM Mercedes getting themselves together as well. That's Sarah Bovey under attack now from Michael Nuhr, who goes early to the pit lane. So interesting, even though Nuhr was the driver who was fastest in class and did a quicker qualifying time in this session than did Ethan Gialdini in the first, yesterday, Gialdini did more of the driving than did Michael Nuhr, and it looks like they're going to do it again here. So on qualifying evidence, you would say that Nuhr was the quicker of the two, but actually, by keeping Gialdini out for longer yesterday, they cleared the 10-second compensation time, and it looks as though they're going to give Gialdini the lion's share of the work today. Fascinating, if we can, to hear from Nuhr about exactly what's going on.
Yeah, they pitted as early as they could in this race, and they pitted as late as possible yesterday, didn't they, like you said? Yeah. So they're really giving the reins to Gialdini to get that car back up somewhere near where it started this race.
And Michael Nuhr and Ethan Gialdini, both drivers who are part of the SRO GT Academy, which is the SRO driver development program for silver-graded drivers under the age of 30. And as you look at a driver who's just the wrong side of 30 these days, Mike Simpson, that GT Academy, Joe, not purely based on race results, indeed not based on race results.
Yeah, it's a very clever algorithm they're using there. It's qualifying pace, it's their stint averages in the race as well, but also sportsmanship and racecraft as well. So it's to pick a true deserving winner to get a very good prize seat in the CrowdStrike 24 hours in a silver car for next year. As that car pits, drivers behind the line, fueling can commence.
So Michael Nuhr out, fuel in. When the fueling is done, then Ethan Gialdini will be in, and the car of CMR, Classic Modern Racing, looking to try to salvage whatever points can be achieved within the class. Remember, this runs in the silver category, and so Ethan Gialdini and Michael Nuhr winners yesterday. Get ready, out comes the seat cushion for Nuhr, in will go Gialdini's, and the pit stop is 181 seconds, so 3 minutes and a second, plus 10 for success yesterday. 27 here is Rodrigue Gillion, the Belgian driver. Very patriotic livery across that car. It's also raced in Lamborghini Super Trofeo in the past, but now coming into GT2. Good to see more manufacturer variety.
Yeah, it's really good, isn't it? And the more the merrier. And that's what we've said about Ginetta joining the grid as well. And big tyre pressure adjustment there. Can you see the bottle? Yeah. And that's increasing the pressure. That's something we rarely see as the Lamborghini gets down the inside of the KTM.
Big dive then, as through goes Gillion to gain a place from Jack Russell, who then decides I'll pit anyway. Antoine Potty, by the way, is on his last warning for track limits. Mike Simpson's new fastest lap of the race is a 2:19.9, so he's absolutely on a mission.
Yeah, we thought they could get into the 19s in clear air, but yeah, so they're adding tyre pressure. So my roll bar comment was wrong, which is fine. But my excuse is that's a very similar feeling to a low tyre pressure.
Oh, we all knew that. Yeah.
Something soft across the rear axle, roll bar tyre pressure, same.
There's Antoine Potty in the pit lane, so at least while he's there, we can't incur any more track limit warnings, but he will rejoin after serving his extra 10 seconds, and it's the same compensation time for the Ethan Gildini driven Ginetta. Out gets one pseudonym and in gets another. Jack Russell to Max Grip. Will try by the end of the season to unravel their real identities, but the pair of them being very cagey, or cannily in the case of Jack Russell.
Yeah. What would your racing pseudonym be?
Oh, I can't tell you that, because there is one that I use for journalism, but if I tell you, I'll give the game away, won't I? So just hold that thought. The KTM with its ever quirky up and forward bodywork, and the driver change goes on. There, number 3. So back on track is the Ginetta. Ethan Gildini now at the wheel of the car. And as he comes down towards Bruxelles, we need to find out what Michael Nuur's dramas were. It was a pretty tough first stint. And as if life wasn't bad enough, he's now got to face the microphone of Bryn Lucas.
Yeah, Michael, yesterday was a great performance, great result, and today seemed to be struggling. Was it from that moment at Eau Rouge that we saw?
Yeah, I think, just from the very start, things went a bit wrong. Me and Mike in the other Ginetta were 1-2. I was on the outside of him to turn 1, and I think maybe he got a small push from someone behind because he just went wide out in me, and I could see Mike had to pit with a puncture, and I got ended up going side by side with one of the other cars up in Rouge. We had a small contact, and I had to save the car, so lost maybe 5 positions already then, and from there on I was struggling a bit. It's difficult to say whether it was the contact or if it was just me as a driver that lost the head a little bit, but definitely a messy race and not what we wanted.
You said to me there have been some setup changes overnight, always setup changes overnight, but was there issue, do you think it was a handling issue from the contact, or do you think it was a handling issue from the setup change? What do you think happened there?
I really don't know, to be honest. We have to hear also what Ethan thinks about the car, and of course check it afterwards. Yeah. So I also can't, give all the fault to the car. My driving was also not so good, and I made some mistakes out there. So got to own up to that as well.
Appreciate your honesty. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, the list goes on, doesn't it, from Michael Nuur. So we did see the car get a little bit hip and shouldered. Let's have another look. So he's saying that Mike Simpson may have touched him, and Simpson may have had a push. Was it from the KTM? Let's have a look. So to the inside is Mike Simpson. Don't think he gets a push, but as he sort of comes out of the corner, yeah, he does just rub up against Michael Nuur, and then that puts Nuur on the back foot. And coming towards Eau Rouge, he's up the curb. There's no contact there, that's just a wobble.
Yeah, I think the KTM gets in the back of him on the exit of 1, and then, like at the time I said Oxley was close but clear. Yeah. But sometimes even the car being nearby disturbs the airflow and takes the grip away. You see it in NASCAR a lot. They don't have to touch, but they can get in a place to take the aero away. But I still think it was tyre pressure related, and I back that up with the tyre pressures being adjusted, added air in the pits.
And just on your aero point, as you look at Laura van den Hengel taking over from Sarah Bovey, these cars don't have masses of aero anyway, unlike a GT3 car. The whole ethos here is to make the driver do the work, and so they're big beefy cars that need a lot of handling. This is again a replay of Eau Rouge. So look at the Ginetta in second place. He's up the curb.
There's actually a touch on the front right of his car to the KTM, which bizarrely from the front shot didn't seem at all. It's like a completely different lap, even though it was exactly the same. It shows you what a camera angle can do, and I always used to use that excuse in the steward's office when I definitely crashed into somebody. Go, yeah, but if you saw it from the other angle,
I wouldn't have touched him. Yeah.
We don't have that at camera. Well, that's your fault.
But fascinating, isn't it? And you piece it all together, plus the evidence offered by the defence, Michael Nuur, and so yeah, he did get roughed up on the first lap, and all of that, of course, was before he went through the gravel twice over at the Cours Paul Frere. So it won't be the most compliant of cars now for Ethan Gildini. Rest of the pit stop cycling through here. We are almost at the end of the window. So Philippe Pret and Rodrigue Gillion need to get in ASAP. And in the background, I think that is Philippe Pret coming down the pit lane. Look at Lassource in slow motion. So, yeah, it's Mike Simpson who comes across on him.
Wow. Aggressive from the CMD of Ginetta on a customer I guess he will say, Mike Simpson, that he shouldn't be on the outside, but there's no future there. But yeah, contact between the teammates on the exit turn 1 then.
Right, so that explains not only what happened to Mikel Nior, but also why Mike Simpson had that punctured tyre, bit of contact, and it was going down over the first lap. So the only good thing was that he was able to box right at the end of the lap, still in the lead, rather than it go instantly, and he had to crawl around for a lap. Philippe Pret out of the car, goes and gets liquid, gets back to the car, and the LP Racing team will strap him on board. The pit window is now closed, so has everybody made a pit stop? Yes, I think they have now, just. Right, let's look at the battles then. So J-Mo Hartling will give way to David Thelenius in the car that was leading, but we need to put that in the context of the number 10 KTM, Simon Birch, giving the car over to Thomas Anderson, and those are still cycling through their pit stops. This is Antoine Potty now behind on the road, Laura van den Hengel, and that is Ethan Gialdini. So Potty and Gialdini is a battle for position here.
Yeah, and Gialdini's pace much better now. He's done the fastest lap. That car's done a 20.4, so that tyre pressure adjustment seems to have brought the car back into the window. And yeah, they'll check the data, and maybe they were just outside the operating window for the Pirelli as Potty gets down the inside of Bovey.
And there's almost contact between the Maseratis. Laura van den Hengel closes the door. Gialdini looking for a way past Potty as well, but unable to do anything about him as they now all squabble for a place. Potty being, arguably he would say, held up behind that Iron Dames car that runs in Pro-Am. He's silver, and Ethan Gialdini in a car that now seems to have come alive is there right on his tail.
Yeah, so he's within half a second, isn't he, of the fastest lap done by Mike Simpson in the sister car. As we see the remaining pit stops finishing up, there is the sister car, Mike Simpson getting out. It'll be interesting to get his view on that contact at turn 1. And was that the cause, like you said, David, about the puncher? You would say yes, otherwise it would be very unfortunate just to pick up a random puncher. And it looks like the car is ready to go.
Indeed, and we also just saw Thomas Anderson going through. Potty has got ahead of Van den Hengel, but Gialdini has not done so yet. There is Lawrence Tomlinson aboard, ready to go. As over the timing line here comes Marius Eigner, who is about to get done by the NM Racing Team Mercedes, and there's contact there. That was Adrian Ferrer trying to get up the inside. And it's just the regular La Source contact, isn't it? You're never fully alongside. The car you're trying to pass turns in. It comes across your nose. It punts it sideways. Play on.
Yeah, I feel like the KTM there of Eigner closed the door too late. I thought the Mercedes, actually, Ferrier was alongside enough to warrant being given space. So I think that will go down as a racing incident.
So we, as the cars rejoin after pit stops, have just seen the leaders go through. This is Antoine Potty now trying to make his move against that Mercedes. Van den Hengel gets past Eigner. Gialdini, I think, has cleared as well, has he? Yes, he's going to get through, and behind that is the KTM now in the hands of Victor Mirage. So Gialdini all over the back of the Laura van den Hengel Maserati, and everywhere he's trying to find a way through, but he just can't do it. He should be able to get away from the car behind in the hands of Marius Eigner now, that KTM that runs in the Pro-Am competition, as here coming down the hill, Adrien Ferrer ahead of Antoine Potty, and that's for position as well.
I wonder if Eigner in that KTM had an issue, because he was obviously in front of the 4 cars in front on the exit of La Source after the contact, but has dropped 4 places. It looks like Ginetta of Giardini is going to get past Van der Hengel.
Yeah, let's have a look as they come back into view. Laura van den Hengel was on the outside, Ethan Gialdini was on the in. Marius Eigner, in fairness though, is your Am in a Pro-Am car, and you've just seen the answer up the road. Yes, Ginetta is ahead. There it is, of the pink and white Iron Dames Maserati, and Eigner's going to have a go on the inside as well. Couldn't quite do it. Laura van den Hengel just able there to close the door and hang on to the place as the leaders turn their way again up through Blanchimont. We'll see at the end of this lap the true race order, and indeed some of the gaps that we now need to address going into this second stint of the race.
We saw that a few times yesterday from Eigner. He gets overtaken, then doesn't like it, wants to get the place back. He tried to do it to Philippe Pret yesterday at turn 1 as Potty is lining up this move. As actually the Ginetta had to avoid there, but he's going to get around the outside. Great move.
But as he gets ahead of the Maserati and runs both of them wide over the curb, could you claim that he's just gained an advantage by being off the racetrack, because he had so much more room to play with coming into the chicane? Now, he will say, well, I was squeezed towards that part of the racetrack, but that might get looked at.
Yeah, get looked at as an I've never seen it happen at the bus stop there, and there's really late squeeze. This is where we saw contact yesterday. Giardini, I think, is starting to close the door too late, too aggressively. He'll get looked at for that as well, and Potti might just keep his foot pinned next time. But yeah, an odd one, because it was an advantage, but it shouldn't be, because there's less grip out there. But he had nowhere else to go. I'm sure it'll get investigated, I think, probably more after the race once they talk to the drivers and look at the onboard cameras.
So now you've got the number 10 KTM in the lead of the race. Thomas Anderson at the wheel. Potti just fending off Ethan Giardini as they come up towards Les Combes. And off has gone Potti. So he outbrakes himself, scrabbles over the runoff tarmac, and having just stayed ahead, missed his braking point and hands the place back. Right, let's have a look at the chicane. So, yeah, Potti defends. That forces Giardini off the road, but he then uses all of that runoff to his advantage, gets through and puts the pair of them off the two of them on the exit of the chicane. Discuss. Anyway, he's ahead, and the fact that Potti made a mistake at Les Combes makes it kind of academic, because he's handed it to him on a plate.
Yeah, and maybe this car could say he gave the place back to Potti, who was in front of him down the Kemmel Straight, and that's the position rightfully in the correct order, in the opinion of that Ginetta.
Now, the race-leading car, let's get back to Thomas Anderson, is 5.5 seconds ahead of David Thelenius, who's taken over from J-Mo Hartling, and that gap, I think, is going to widen as the race goes on. In third place, it's Alberto Di Martin. This is the leader, and you can see there the Ferrari a lap down now, Patrick Michelier. That's second, that's David Thelenius. But I suspect not for long, because this car of Alberto Di Martin, that seemed to struggle for pace yesterday, is absolutely flying.
Yeah, Di Martin has come on leaps and bounds, hasn't he, in terms of his pace. I've actually seen Eigner, I think, has got back past the Iron Dames Maserati as well, so he likes a fight. But look at the gap between Potti. He's lost a lot of time as the Ginetta trying to get down the inside now of Adrian Ferrier.
Yeah, Adrian Ferrer keeps him at bay. Giardini again, two wheels up on his curb as they come into the chicane over the timing line. So this is the 4th, 5th and 6th battle, and Giardini, if he can clear Adrian Ferrer, will go into the lead, amazingly enough, of the silver class. Despite the relative lack of pace that car seemed to have early on, it's absolutely charging now. The fastest lap is still that of Mike Simpson from earlier on, so Ginettas are quick enough. There's no BOP concern necessarily here. Laura van den Hengel a bit slow coming off the Turn 1 La Source hairpin, and that is now going to put Victor Marash there in the KTM onto her tail with 12.5 minutes still to go.
Yeah, it was a mistake and lost a fair bit of time. It's given Lawrence Tomlinson in the Ginetta behind a chance to try and close the gap to this 89 car. You can see Lawrence there. And yeah, the pace of the Ginetta very good over a lap, but it seems like hasn't got the straight line performance. So it's a different car in a race trim versus solo by itself over a lap.
Now, the Masters battle is building up nicely in terms of Victor Marash being ahead of this car, Shotrup Kazava. Lawrence Tomlinson in Pro-Am is going after Laura van den Hengel for a class place, but it looks as though Shotrup Kazava, who was the winner yesterday, may be able to do it again if he can catch that KTM of the Masters leading Victor Marash, who now turns out of Bruxelles. 12 minutes are on the clock. Down the hill they drop then, so Marash clear of Alcazaba, and he's also got the benefit of a bit of traffic between as an extra cushion.
Yeah, it'd be an amazing result, wouldn't it, for Kazava if he could do a double here, even with that huge pit stop penalty he was given as he's trying to get down the inside there, and Pool 1 isn't really an overtaking area, but yeah, this car served 14 extra seconds in the pits over the baseline time, so has raced forward really, really well.
The incident between Adrian Ferrer and Marius Eigner from La Source is being looked at, so the stewards having their first real investigation of the morning as the race lead fight continues. Interesting to see the way that Potti, I know he made that mistake at Les Combes, but he's just hemorrhaged time against Ethan Giardini. Look at the gap, he's not fighting back particularly, and Giardini getting ever closer to Adrian Ferrer. This for 4th in the race and the lead of Silva.
Yeah, but this leader Silva is catching the top 3 Pro-Am cars very quickly. So this could actually be a 4 or 5 car battle.
Problem for Giardini, because look, Antoine Potti has cleared both of them. They got a bit caught up behind Michelier there. And so Antoine Potti, demon through Blanchimont, went storming past Ferrer and past Giardini. So Antoine Potti, who was 6th into the corner, is 4th coming out of it.
Insane, really good and clever driving from Giardini in the Ginetta. I thought he was going to lunge into the last corner, backed out of it. Otherwise there would have been contact, but that car suddenly has lost pace.
It has indeed. So Ethan Gialdini falls back from Adrien Ferrer a little, but Antoine Potti absolutely inspired. Now, he's had a number of warnings in stint 1 for track limits. I wonder whether he was a bit cavalier with track limits at Blanchimont, and that's what catapulted the speed way off the racetrack, though. There goes Adrien Ferrer. They're all at it now. Yeah, and the Ginettas now back up to speed without an issue. So, yeah, track limits, I am worried, are going to become prevalent towards the end of this race. They could be adding times to the end of the race times. They could indeed. They do reset during the pit window, because in most cases you've got an incoming driver. Even for the soloists, they are reset. So Antoine Potti, if you like, can go again. He can use another group of track limit offences here. Which he has done already. He's got a warning flag again. So both stints he has had a warning flag, but this time he's still got another 4 laps or so to go. So we were talking about Patrick Michelier getting slightly in the way. Here you go. He's on the inside. Ferrer goes round the outside. Gialdini was delayed. Potti went round the outside, but still had the pace to get past Adrien Ferrer. There was Ferrer wasn't delayed at all by the traffic. The Ginetta was. And now, look, Potti has got past Alberto Di Martin. So that puts Antoine Potti into 3rd. And now Adrien Ferrer is being given a 10-second time penalty for causing a collision. Yeah, so that's going to drop him down the order massively as he gets round the sister car, and Gialdini has to go round the outside. Di Martin must have a problem, because he was closing on Fellenius, and now all of a sudden this car, 115, the second of the silver NM Racing Team cars, is dropping like a stone. Yeah, it's amazing. Oh, a big snap of oversteer there for the Ginetta, and to get on the brakes as well. Just hasn't got the straight line speed to get past the car, but has the pace round the corner. But it's hard to use that last track limit warning for 116, so Ferrier is going to have to be careful with that as well. Yeah, warning flag to 116. Race control have just updated that, as there you can see the fight for second. That's David Fellenius Mercedes ahead of Antoine Potti in the Maserati. Gialdini round the outside for 4th place, coming into the chicane, and he gets ahead of Adrien Ferrer again, and Ferrer sweeps to the inside, just skims the back of the Ginetta, and now it's going to be a drag race across the line. Gialdini crowds him as much as he can, but look at the grunt that Mercedes has in a straight line. See you later. He goes round the outside. Gialdini looks to the inside under braking, but that's not going to happen. It's great racing, but they're losing so much time. Look at Potti. He's escaped in that Maserati, and he was behind these two cars. Remember, they caught that red 296 just exiting La Source, and that's been the trouble for them. Michelier getting out the way well now, but that really has hurt, I think, the chance of Ethan Gialdini to get a race win, because he gets past the car but then stuck behind if he's unable to clear them. Shotram Kazuma in that blue Lamborghini now ahead of Victor Marash, meaning he's leading the Masters class. We're about to have the change for second place as Antoine Potti is on the back of David Fellenius. This is the Adrien Ferrer Ethan Gialdini fight. But for second, it is going to go, it seems, to Potti. Thomas Anderson, in the meantime, is being caught a little bit by these two. He's 8.5 seconds up the road as they come now down through Bruxelles. So Potti has got 7 minutes to make up 8.8 seconds. It's a big ask, but I think he'll do a good chunk of that. Yeah, it's going to be really close. I think on average 1.5 seconds quicker for the Maserati, and they're going to get 3 laps, so it's going to be 7.5 seconds gained, and there's that gap of 8.5 that you said about David. So it's going to be right on the money. One mistake either way will seal the deal. Thomas Anderson and Simon Birch have not had a win in the GT2 European Series before. Meanwhile, let's focus back on this fight between Adrien Ferrer and Ethan Gialdini. There was half a gap on the inside, but Gialdini does not force the issue into the pith path. Right, then left. They're both going to get past David Fellenius, aren't they, who is dropping down the overall order, still second in Pro-Am, but he's got all these young guns, these quicksilvers, bearing down on him. That's the Spanish driver, Adrien Ferrer, in the Mercedes, the French driver, Ethan Gialdini, behind him. And both, as we said earlier on, Ethan Gialdini and Michael Nior, part of that SRO GT Academy that operates in GT2 European Series. Antoine Potti is in that, so is Nicola Piri, who crashed early on in the race, Moritz Viskerken, and J-Mo Hertling, who did the first stint for the SR Motorsport Mercedes team, part of the academy as well. Gialdini again, round the outside, late on the brakes, tries to get ahead of Adrien Ferrer, and he does so with the inside line coming out of the chicane. Brave, brave stuff, that, in a car that doesn't have the straight line speed of the Mercedes, and Gialdini now has to make it as wide as possible in a straight line, and Adrien Ferrer comes back at him. It's going to be the last of the late breakers. Gialdini sends it up the inside, retakes the place.
Yeah, slightly different to the previous lap, deja vu, wasn't it? But I think the Mercedes are going to get the place back now. I'm fearful that these two cars are not going to finish this race with clean bodywork that they currently have, and that's going to be an issue potentially for one of them. They're keeping it clean so far, but as the time ticks away, it gets more and more fraught.
I think we've had a car off at the chicane. There's a yellow flag out in the last sector. Just peering out of our window, it's the Iron Dames Maserati that's facing the wrong way. Laura van den Hengel is staring at the traffic, so it's not a serious drama, but it's car in an awkward place as 5 minutes remain on the clock. Got to say, GT2 this year has been must-watch racing compared to the small grids that we've had in the past, and SRO have plugged away at this championship, introducing the academy, welcoming in the silvers for this year, and it really has given the championship a major boost, and two of the best races we've had this weekend.
Yeah, the BOP working really well lap time wise, but the envelope of how they produce their lap time so different in terms of speed and cornering. It makes the racing much more exciting than other categories, in my opinion. So they're doing a really good job at generating the racing, and frustrating for the Ginetta at times, but they do have the performance under braking, it seems, over that Mercedes as the Maserati gets going, and we should be back to full green.
So that's Laura van den Hengel back into the race. As you look here at Fellenius, Ferrer and Gialdini, they've got 4 minutes on the clock, and they're both going to get ahead, aren't they, these two of David Fellenius in that Pro-Am Mercedes, and they're still trading the place. Gialdini good through the corners, good under braking, but if there's any section of the circuit that you need power for, it's advantage Adrian Ferrer.
He's slightly getting held up, isn't he, by the other Mercedes, though, so this could be a chance for the Ginetta to strike, but it's then just staying in front is the problem, and that's where he needs a couple of good corners to try and break free. Look at the gap that has grown. That is the balance of performance differences we're talking about.
And Ferrer, of course, is in a proper battle for position with Fellenius here. David doesn't have to let him go. He's not like he's being lapped. It is for overall position, but now Adrian Ferrer up the inside. The gap is there. Gialdini cheekily thought about it, and now look, the Ginetta slows right down and has got no drive off the corner. Ethan Gialdini's car grinds to a halt. He's trickling into the pit lane. Now, he did clip the curb on the inside. Is that what a drive shaft issue like happened to Rossina yesterday? He has got a bit of momentum, but Ethan Gialdini creeping into the pit lane.
It was instant, wasn't it? As soon as it hit that apex curb, which we do see cars use, it's almost like it switched itself off. I can't see any electrical power. The lights are fully off. It looks okay now. He decided to dive for pit lane. I wonder if he's just having to cycle something, but it looks back to relative normal now.
Yeah, it's hard to gauge, isn't it, when you're on a pit lane speed limit anyway. But Ethan Gialdini then with a problem, and all the hard work to drag that car into contention has gone.
You see the transit van in the background ready to bounce again. Lightning doesn't strike twice here at Spa. It's nearly 3 times we've seen the pit lane get blocked. It wouldn't have been an issue, of course, because the pit window closed, but great to see the marshals on their toes.
Shotrup Kazava around the outside of Marius Eigner here, and that's a change for 6th place then. Masters car ahead of Pro-Am car. Eigner having a better race today, but he has lost a position to Shotrup Kazava, but doesn't lose a place within his category. That's the key to all of this. Kazava's had a great weekend. He missed Monza, but great to see him coming into the championship and doing so well. The Georgian driver, great character, and there's not much he's not done in motorsport. Shotrup Kazava, his own circuits, own teams, run championships, raced himself, been on governing bodies, you name it. If it's to do with the sport, he's done it.
Yeah, he's under investigation for the incident at turn 19, which also involved Lawrence Tomlinson and the Iron Dames Maserati.
And a car here, Andre Rokosh rebuilt Mercedes, limping on, and it's a punctured tyre looking at the right rear corner, and bits of rubber being spat and debris on the side of the car as well. So Andre Rokosh, who's had a tough weekend, limps on. This effectively is him heading for the checkered flag, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Could do a bit of damage, and the car is going to box then of Giardini, so maybe a power steering thing with how jerky the car was turning into its pit box, but I'll have a quick look, and that's day done after what could have been a very good weekend. Winners yesterday, starting 2nd place this morning.
So this is Thomas Anderson, the leader, and look what's going on behind him. Antoine Potty is now 2.5 seconds back with a lap to go, and that last lap was 2 seconds quicker. So he's 2 seconds a lap faster, 1 lap and a 2.5 gap. It's going to be very, very close, this. Antoine Potty has got to drive the lap of his life. A drive-through penalty is now being given to number 12, for causing a collision, and that is Shotrab Kazava.
We said he was under investigation, didn't we? So where's that going to put him in the Masters? At the moment, that would lose him at least second place. I think third place as well to Philip Pret.
Yeah, so it's the incident that turned around Laura van den Hengel, and Alcázava cops the rap for it. Meanwhile, Sector 1, the gap is down by 0.8 of a second to Anderson Topotti, and so they drop down towards Bruxelles now. Thomas Anderson, Antoine Potty, the gap continues to come. Thomas Anderson could afford to let him go and still win his class, but he would love a first outright win.
Yeah, that first point you made is nowhere near his thought process. He will want the outright win and the class win. Racing Driver is very greedy, and that would be a great result for the KTM that we've seen struggle in the previous few races, but has looked really good here at Spa. What has Potty got? Remember, he's done the whole race by himself, so he'll be focused, but getting towards the end of a 15-minute tough race round here, some mental fatigue could be setting in also.
Yeah, Thomas Anderson there with Antoine Potty getting ever closer. Now we need to see the relative strength of the two cars, don't we? Thomas Anderson then is ahead, but for how much longer as, again, the cars sprint their way down through the approach to Cours Paul Frère. Antoine Potty, who was in GT World Challenge Europe last season. Thomas Anderson has raced in the Danish Endurance Championship, in the Le Mans Cup, in GT2 European Series. So again, he's an experienced driver, but he is not as quick as Antoine Potty, and you can see that from the way the gap is coming down and down. But has Thomas Anderson done enough then? Effectively 2 corners to go, but there's a slow car up the road, which is Andre Rocoche, who limps on. They have to get off the racetrack to avoid him. That was a bit heart in mouth, but they have cleared him into the chicane. Checkered flag at the ready. Thomas Anderson and Simon Birch then, with no compensation time in the pits, have just done enough to hang on out of the chicane. Checkered flag at the ready. A first win for Thomas Anderson and Simon Birch. Great race with Antoine Potty taking second, and a silver win, and the gap at the flag 0.312 of a second. Adrien Ferrer is set for third. There was another car going for the pit lane, I thought, in the background, which was Rocoche's Mercedes limping out of the way. So Ferrer and Oxley are, no, not third, because they've got a penalty. So they're coming over the line is, on corrected time, David Thelenius and J-Mo Hartling for third. Fourth, Ferrer and Oxley. Shotrab Kazava fifth across the line, and then Alberto Di Martin and Neil Montserrat sixth. But Kazava has a penalty to apply as well. So we'll wait for all this to update.
That was a shame, wasn't it, for the Lamborghini Oz there, because he actually got Di Martin on the line by 0.5 of a second. So that was a great move. But now, yeah, Kazanov has dropped down outside of the Masters podium, unfortunately for him.
And only 2 finishers in silver, but it's been a long time coming for Simon Birch. Very quick driver, but hasn't really had the platform on which to show that ability. I think we've banged the drum for him a bit in GT World Challenge as well, but a job well done by both him and Thomas Anderson. So Antoine Potty is the silver winner. Thomas Anderson, Simon Birch winning in Pro-Am from Thelenius and Hartling, and then Di Martin and Montserrat. And in Masters, the class goes back the way then of Victor Marash with the penalty for Alcázava. Second is going to be Philippe Pret, and third is Alexis Berthet and Rodrigue Gillian. So Alcázava's time penalty puts him 5th in class, having won on the road.
It's incredible, isn't it? The ebb and the flow, and 2 phenomenal GT2
yeah,
races.
Really good.
And, I know everyone watching live on YouTube loves GT2, but I think as it starts to gain cars on the grid, it will also start to gain popularity with viewers at home for the reasons we alluded to in the race. The racing is hard and fair, but the performance window of these cars is so much wider. The racing feels wild at times, and it's hard for the drivers sometimes to keep the racing clean.
And, OK, there is a disparity between some of the AMs and some of the pros/silvers, but then you've got the categorisation, and everyone has something to fight for anyway.
Yeah, that's very true as well. And, yeah, it's good to see the GT Academy as well flourishing in the SRO world.
It's really good to see GT2 with busy grids. And as we said yesterday, it's got that critical mass now. People want to be part of something good. So it's a win for Thomas Anderson and Simon Birch for Razzoon Morvan Racing. KTM ahead of Maserati. Antoine Potty taking second. David Thelenius and J-Mo Hartling are third. Adrien Ferrer and Brandon Oxley fourth, from Alberto Di Martin and Neil Montserrat, with Reinhard Koffler and Marius Eigner in sixth. Seventh, Victor Marash and Lenny Marionech. And then after a lap 1 pit stop, Lawrence Tomlinson and Mike Simpson coming home for 8th. Anderson and Birch, the winners in Pro-Am. Potty, your silver winner, and Victor Marash, who was in 7th place, with Lennart Marianec taking the Masters category win. Outside the top 8, 9th to Philippe Pret, ahead of Alexis Berthet and Rodrigue Gillian. Oliver Freimut, 11th, Shotram Kasela then down to 12th, having won the class on the road. Moritz Wiesterkirchen and Wilhelm Kühne, 13th from Scuderia Pseudonym, Max Grip and Jack Russell. Limping into the pit lane was the André Rocoche Petrolisa Mercedes. Patrick Michelier was a lap down in the Ferrari, and we lost the Ginetta of Giardini and Muir, also retiring with damage after being turned around, the Vanden Hengel and Bovi Iron Dames Maserati, and that sizable accident for Nicola Piri early on, destroying the LP Racing Maserati and of course triggering our safety car period. So Simon Birch is ready to, first of all, put on his Pirelli winner's hat and then welcome Thomas Anderson as a race winner. And the bodywork goes up and forwards, and then Thomas will thread his way between the roll cage. But a great effort there. Simon helps to undo the netting and help with the belts and get his co-driver out as quickly as possible, and then they can start the celebrations. Thomas Anderson wriggles clear, and good to see first-time winners.
Yeah, the relief from both of them, and yes, no pit stop penalty helped, but it was a great start from Simon Birch, wasn't it? And then the pace from Anderson was just about enough to hang on from Potty, 3/10 at the end. We knew it was going to be tight, and it certainly was.
Yeah, Potty taking his class win, but Simon Birch and Thomas Anderson are now out of cars and clear of crash helmets. That means that we can get to them. Bryn Lucas is with the winners.
Thomas, I'll give you a moment to catch your thoughts, but Simon, watching on there, how nervous were you at the end of that race?
Yeah, it was quite tough. I mean, we knew we secured the Pro-Am victory, but in the end it's quite fun also to achieve the overall win, especially in a Pro-Am pairing. And yeah, we are just here for this guest start. We didn't drive in Monza, so it's quite nice to finish off with a victory overall also.
Will we see you back again?
Yeah, maybe. Let's see, for sure.
Lovely, lovely. And Thomas, you had your work cut out. You really had the pressure from the car behind.
Yeah, it was. I could feel it in the end, and I knew, okay, I had to push the last lap, and we had something to catch up from yesterday. We were a little bit unlucky there, so we knew we had to push to, and then we had the final win opportunity. So why not try to take that one? And you know, now I have prepared Simon for the 24 hours where he's going GT3. So that's nice.
How kind of you. Go and celebrate. Well done.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks.
The two Danish drivers there, the bronze graded Thomas Anderson and the silver Simon Birch, then taking that outright race win. Job very well done indeed. So the KTM victorious, and by 0.3 of a second. Now let's get back to the Parc Fermé area. We need to hear from our silver victor, and that's soloist Antoine Potty.
Well, Antoine, you gave it all you could. You pushed and pushed, you huffed and puffed, but it wasn't quite enough at the end.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit unlucky there. Maybe with half a lap it would have been great. As well, a white flag was being waved due to the car, a slow car, so I was managing a bit to, I mean, I don't really have to be first for the championship as well, so second and finishing first for the Silver Cup, it's completely fine. And we were lucky compared to all other silvers, because yeah, they were blocked by a slower car and I could overtake them both, and it was quite lucky at the end. I think we managed it really well.
Decent points haul from Spa, well done.
Yeah, thank you, mate.
Antoine Potty then just reflecting on the traffic, both that enabled him to gain places, but also that slower car with the puncture of André Rocoche at the end that just necessitated a little bit more management. But he's second in the race, and as he makes the point for the championship, it's the points in silver that he's after, and he's a class winner there. So Antoine Potty taking honours. That means that we have our Masters victors still to come, and one of the victors is Victor Morash, along with Lenny Marianec, as in the background Bryn bustles around looking for his next set of drivers. So for Antoine Potty then, a good weekend here at Spa, all valuable points for the championship, and that's backing up a win at Monza as well. And a team new to not just the series, but car racing as well. I4 Race coming into GT2 out of rallying. Right, let's get to Lenny Marianec and Victor Morash as our winners of the Masters class, inheriting the win, but a win is a win nonetheless, and they'll be delighted with that.
I'm sure they will. Delighted with that performance there. It's a great way to finish off your proceedings here in Spa.
Yeah, it's great.
Your question? Not a few words there, just great. Still coming to terms with the performance, the result for yourself?
Yeah, I'm really happy with the result. I mean, unfortunate for car number 12 that had a penalty. I kept it a little too safe at the start, but in the end our pace was good and we had everything clean at the pit stop, so race was good.
Very much a big improvement than what you had yesterday result-wise.
Yeah, that's true. Yesterday we got blocked in pit lane, so that was very unfortunate. But today was just a clean race and really good. So we're happy.
Congratulations, well done.
Thank you.
So Victor Marash, not giving too much away, but maybe that's the language barrier more than him not being a happy race winner. He and Marionetch do take the class win, and a job well done. Next stop, by the way, Misano, in the middle of July. 2 races there, so we look forward to more action. Totally different circuit, of course, the very flat Italian venue compared to Spa, and it'll be fascinating to see how the championship looks going there, and indeed how the compensation times of this weekend will affect race results. Race 2 of GT2 European Series began with drama at the first corner. Not a great start by Michael Nuhr in his Ginetta, but a good getaway by Mike Simpson, trying to defend from Simon Birch, who was on the inside line as they went into the hairpin. But then it all started to unravel for the Ginettas because they ended up getting themselves together. Nuhr was forced out wide, and a little bit of contact ultimately led to a puncture for Mike Simpson. Cars plunged downhill, and Michael Nuhr was set to have his own dramas. The car just brushing the KTM, getting all sideways and running way out wide. Starting from the pit lane was Nicolo Piri. He sadly wouldn't last long in the race, as midway around the first lap was Michael Nuhr's dramas coming out of the Cours Paul Frère. He'd have another moment before the race was done. The Mercedes AMGs were getting themselves together, and Brandon Oxley, with a bit of hip and shoulder, forced out wide through the gravel. And this was the drama that befell Nicolo Piri. Cold tyres, big accident. Safety car deployed, everybody bunched up. That helped Mike Simpson after his pit stop for a new tyre, because he caught the queue and then charged his way through the traffic, setting the fastest lap of the race as he did so. On track, though, the Thomas Anderson-Simon Birch KTM lost out to the Mercedes of J-Mo Hartling. He'd had a win at Monza and moved through, but then it was a slower pit stop with compensation time, and that gave the advantage back to the KTM. Meanwhile, Adrien Ferrer was clearing traffic as well, and a man-inspired Mike Simpson getting his way up through traffic. Also moving up the order was Ethan Gialdini, who'd taken over from Michael Nuhr. This was the pit stop, where they put some fuel into the car, and on the other side of it, it was Gialdini all over the back of Antoine Potti, who in turn was trying to clear the traffic. First up, the Maserati of Laura van den Hengel. Contact, though, down at turn 1 gave a penalty to Adrien Ferrer for getting involved with Marius Eigner, and also enabled Antoine Potti to work his way into the lead of the silver class, helped by this inspired move as well, coming out of Blanchimont, getting ahead of Gialdini, and also the car of Neil Montserrat in one fell swoop. Great racing, great driving by Antoine Potti. But as Gialdini ultimately retired to the pit lane with dramas, through it all came a great lead battle. Potti putting himself onto the tail of the lead car of Thomas Anderson and Simon Birch. That was Gialdini expiring as he touched the curb at the chicane, and Thomas Anderson and Simon Birch hung on for a first ever win in GT2. Next stop, Misano in mid-July. The battle continues in GT2.